Welcome to Marvel Vision, a podcast about Marvel, the MCU, and right now, the finale of WandaVision is a very secretive title called the series finale. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin, coming at you live from the children's bedroom, the very hub where all great content comes from.
I'm Pete.
And Pete is awake this time. That's very excited. I'm excited
Yes.
that your alarm went off here for the series finale. Now, requisite spoiler warning here. Go watch WandaVision, the series finale. We're going to spoil it. We're going to talk about everything, all the Easter eggs, all the Marvel secrets. Also talk about the two post-credit sequences. So if you watch through the regular WandaVision credits and then tuned out, keep watching through the regular credits, because there's another sequence after there.
Actually, even beyond that, there's this whole credit sequence called The Age of Ultron that I actually really enjoyed, that you can keep watching. And then at the end of that, there's another post-credit sequence.
Oh, man. What was that next post-credit sequence? Was it Raya and the Last Dragon?
Yes, and that one was expensive. Wow. I had to pay for that one.
Wow. Man, Marvel.
They get you.
They're taking us for everything we're worth. Now,
plus, there was a whole pre-credit sequence. I don't know if you watched, which was the actual episode of television we're talking about.
I skipped that completely.
Yeah. Oh, that's sort of the important part.
Let's talk about this. This is, of course, the final episode. It's bringing everything together. Certainly, I'm sure there's some things we want to talk about that weren't necessarily touched on, but huge episode. We got the Fantastic Four. We got X-Men. We got Mephisto.
What the fuck?
Theory
Shut
was
up.
100% true, and that was great. I was very excited about that. What did you guys think?
About the episode, I mean, this was good. This was I earlier this week, the director, right, Matt Shakman, came out and said, "Hey, you're probably going to be disappointed," which is always a weird thing to hear from one of the main creatives on a project before it comes out. But I see what he was saying, where it's just it's a classic end of third act of a Marvel movie where it's mostly a big fight. There's some nice touching moments. There's some really smart moments in this. And then everyone just sort of goes back to their corners and we see what happens going forward.
Except for the fact that there's, a lot of loss and a lot of sadness that is still there. You know what I mean? I mean, we said goodbye to a whole family in this episode, man. That's a tough way to start your fucking Friday, especially so fucking early in the fucking morning.
I do that every Friday. Every Friday I wake up, I say goodbye to a family.
Yep. He has an ant farm that he smushes an entire family of ants every morning on Fridays when he gets up.
Teaches me about mortality. That's how I like to end my week.
That's a good way of saying it when you're murdering tiny little creatures. The thing is, Pete, I don't think we actually said goodbye to very many characters. The Vision gets to...
There's two Visions now. Which one are you talking about?
Well, I think there's eventually only one, the Ghost Vision. And that I think our old Hex Vision converts Ghost Vision into the one true Vision. He just goes off. The kids... we hear there's no way we're not going to see them again, and we hear even in the post credit sequence a little whisper from
help,
some sort of
Mama,
child.
help. I just before we get too into the minutia of the episode, I'd also like to chime in and just say that I thought this was great. I thought this was a really good finale, and to your point, Justin, yeah, one of the pleasures of talking about WandaVision week to week has been talking about the theories and speculating about it and throwing out, ooh, is this teasing X-Men? Is this teasing Fantastic Four? Is this teasing Mephisto? Whatever other Marvel characters you want to throw in there. Is Doctor Strange going to show up? What are the cameos going to be? And like we sort of talked about last week, what they did really smartly was the story, So as long as, I think, as a watcher, as a fan, go crazy, theorize as much as you want. I think this is what Matt Shakman was saying. But at the end of the day, put those theories aside and just watch it, because what they were telling was a story about Wanda's grief, her sadness, and not how you completely move past that, but how you start to move past that. And I think that's what they effectively did through the action sequences, through the plot in this episode, which I really appreciated.
I agree. I mean, and like a lot of fans, I love speculating, but the ultimate speculation in fan theory is a show about grief. I think that's at the end of the day.
Jesus.
There's a million blog posts about like, yeah, it was grief. It was grief all along.
Yeah. Now we should talk about the Marvel Comics origins of grief, which is a classic character. It's a demon. Has a no, it doesn't. I don't know. I like that. I liked how it, like we sort of even speculated about, they ended with this quieter moment with the family in their house that was so sad and so poignant, but it really was that Wanda, it was all Wanda, like like they said in the third or fourth episode. It's Wanda, it's all Wanda. And that's what it was about. It was about her emotional journey to getting to the point where she can let go of Vision, even though, to your point again, Vision is a god. He's still out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Where do you think the White Vision flew to in such a hurry?
I mean, now that he realizes he's alive, he's probably going to get like a good burger or something. Go to In and Out.
Really? I thought
Wow.
I thought it was more like, hey man, go start your own family. Don't live like this. All right. Go pick a town, take it over. You can do it better this time.
If you look at the closed captioning, he's actually, while he's flying off, he said, it's time to get married.
Yeah. I love the idea, Pete, that you're like, well, when someone's really sad, the best advice is to go start their own family. So when you're an angsty teen, you were like, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm getting married and I'm going to have kids and I'm going to be in charge of that family.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, if you're having problems, having a whole family, that'll fix everything.
That's 100% right. Like, look at me. I make total sense. I'm on top of the world in here. I'm in a tiny, tiny room. And look at this. These are the Nordic sculptures at the end of the episode in the double post-credit sequence.
Oh, you were look at
this
you
is an Easter
your
egg.
own spells in your own home. That's smart, man.
Let's talk a little bit more about Vision, just to focus this in a bit. I love that not only that we got the White Vision versus Westview Vision, or whatever we want to call him, fight, which was great and fun to watch, but that it ended in this very classic Vision fashion of having a philosophical discussion, which was very much, I mean, I know we're joking about Age of Ultron and everybody's been like, Jesus Christ, Disney Plus, stop pushing Age of Ultron on me at the end here. But one of the absolute best scenes in Age of Ultron is when Vision just talks to Ultron in the woods about humanity at the end there, right before he takes care of him.
You can't say plateaus are like one of the best things of Ultron. That's crazy. There's so many fun little points. What about when Hawkeye threatens to shoot? He was like, nobody would know. I could just take you out. There's a lot of good moments. You can't just say one of the.
I'm not trying to slam your favorite movie, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Pete.
All right. Well, don't say best moments and talk about a moment that was like, all right, let's talk about life in the woods.
Great moment. You're
Alex,
wrong.
don't push him too much further. He's gonna go start another family, and he's got too many fucking families.
I thought this, regardless, I think this whole thing about the ship and discussing it was really great, and a great way of wrapping it up that I certainly was not expecting.
Yeah.
If you don't like your family, move and start a new one. Next town over. No one will know.
Wow, that maybe used to work, but not anymore. I agree. I thought this was a cool way, especially in an episode that started at the very beginning. It was just fight, 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 and to have it sort of heighten and elevate to the point where we actually get to see this this butting of heads in a really smart way, I thought was great. And the way that it ends with him sort of we see his stone flash to the Mind Stone yellow briefly, and then back to blue, and then his eyes go from blur to just human, good old fashioned human eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive how after all the action movies, Marvel is like, all right, we're going to make something that's a little bit more sad, something that's going to tug on the heartstrings a little bit and isn't really going to be about fighting. And, it's great that creatively we can be doing shows like this. Sure, you walk away not as like pumped and maybe a little bit more sad, but it is a cool story nonetheless.
And shout out to my boy Paul Bettany for doing a great job on this series. Everybody was great across the board. Fantastic cast. But like we've been talking about on this podcast all along, he played so many modes of different comedy. In this episode, like we're talking about, he got to be classic Vision. But that speech at the end to Wanda as he's saying goodbye was so sweet and so sad and so beautiful. I do hope people don't lump on it the same way they did the what is grief but love persevering line, because
But people, that wasn't getting love. I mean, it was elevated to the point after last week's episode. This is on Twitter. If you don't follow all this nonsense, it was elevated to the point of like, look at this perfect line. And then everyone went after it then. But I mean, it was a good line.
It's a good line. It was well said. I'm just saying that I think this was another good speech, and I feel like people are going to equate them in their minds a little bit. So it's like, lay off, buddy. That's all I'm saying.
Alex, we should give a shout out to you for calling Paul Bettany, describing himself as the actor he wanted to work with.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Every once in a while, here's the thing. This is a little business thing that maybe you guys don't know.
Wait. Justin, are you kicking your own kids out of their own room right now?
This is daddy's time. This is daddy's time.
Your kid just wants to go to its bed. Like, let that kid.
Its bed? Wow. For a man who has multiple families, you don't know how to talk about kids very well. She's awake. Ever since we've been doing this podcast, getting up at the crack of dawn, she gets up before me and sits in the living room. So we've really evolved.
Does she talk to you about speculation and spoilers?
Yeah,
what's she think?
She wanted to interrupt and say, like, where the fuck was Al Pacino? I really wanted to
give that kid a mic. That's comedy gold.
But yeah, I do think it's very funny. And Paul Bettany had this interview on Good Morning America, I believe, where he's like, yeah, I thought it would be funny when I was saying that, and it kind of blew up out of control. So that's great. That's fine. I don't love when they're lying about stuff. Like, love Tatiana Maslany. The fact that she was like, no, I'm not She-Hulk, and then she was cast as She-Hulk. That's not her fault. Somebody told her to say that and deny that. But this Paul Bettany thing is just funny enough. I would rather they do stuff like that. Like, it reminds me a little bit. I don't know if you guys remember when Michael Shannon was doing a little press and people were asking him about Batman v Superman. He was like, yeah, I'm in that as Zod again, but I have like flipper hands. It was really difficult to open the bathroom door with my flipper hands. That's the sort of thing. It's like, sure, fuck with people. That's fine.
Do you think that Paul Bettany got a phone call late at night from Kevin Feige, like, hey, man, you really fucked us on this whole guest star thing. You get on Good Morning America and you fix it. You fix it.
Probably. But that was good. And I did like seeing him go up. It's also, it's funny that we were speculating this much about the cameo. While we're sort of talking about these things that we speculated a lot about, who was in witness protection for Jimmy Woo? We never tied that up.
That's crazy to me because there's one thing that we went off on our own little wild speculation. That's our thing. But even the little nuggets they dropped didn't really pay off in a way. And I was very surprised there wasn't a cameo. I thought, obviously, I think last time I was like, it could still be Mephisto. That was always a reach. But I thought for sure we would get Doctor Strange. We get a lot of reference to him.
Sure do.
We're fully in his world with the Darkhold and all these other things that we'll probably talk about in a minute. But I still was surprised that we didn't get a resolution on the witness protection thing. Because what is it? Was it Agatha? The Ralph thing was odd. We just that was an open-ended thing, really.
But also, it was like, if you're the Sorcerer Supreme, like, how do you not feel or notice this crazy shit going on? You know, like, there was a lot of crazy shit happening magically that, like, you don't have something that kind of like senses that or kind of like points in that direction.
You should check out. I did not come up with this one. I saw somebody tweet it, and I do not remember who tweeted it, but somebody very correctly pointed out, you try getting somebody who lives in Midtown to come out to Jersey for a party.
Oh, that's legit. I mean, come on. He's not going to leave his.
I was hoping that's where she was going. Was going to New York City.
I expected that we would see somebody at a post credits. I was surprised that we didn't see Doctor Strange in that last moment with Wanda in the cabin or something like that. But I appreciated that we didn't actually have any cameos. That it would have felt distracting.
Oh, okay, Alex. You appreciate that we didn't have any cameos? Wow, what a strong point of view.
No, I do, because
after the fact, after you've been speculating and wanting a cameo the whole time.
Been saying, people could listen back, that maybe we'll get some cameos, but I think that we would get Doctor Strange in a post credits or showing up at the very end of the episode, or that's pretty much it. All along.
Sure.
Alex,
also all of the X-Men and Reed Richards. That was
exactly.
Other than that,
how did you like? Oh, go ahead.
No, you go, Pete.
I was going to say, how did you like the kind of like thing of like, hey, it's okay to come back to the theater? No. Come back to the theater. Please go into the theater, sit down in the seats, pay $30 for popcorn. Yes, back in the theater.
Well,
That's where you belong.
You
That's
thought there
where
was a little
Marvel belongs, back in the movie theater, right? Everybody,
Oh, that's okay. I
home
didn't get that
stuff
at all.
is cool, but right, we should all be back in the movie theater. Now look up. Ah, yeah, look at the giant screen. That's nice, right?
Wow, the ultimate post-credit sequence is being brainwashed.
Yeah, I think that might have been slightly more your thing. Can we talk about the stuff outside of the Hex, the folks outside of the Hex, and kind of run through them a little bit? Talk about Jimmy Woo, what happened with him in this episode.
Flourish.
Yeah,
Yep.
straight out of Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? Like that's where he learns that.
It's just magic talk, it's a nice.
Yeah, that's straight out of David Copperfield's magic show. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but David Copperfield made me disappear actually when I was 5 years old.
Yeah. I want the original Justin back. I don't want this Copperfield copy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you get dumped into a basement somewhere, like in the Prestige?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Spoilers for the Prestige.
Wow. Alex dropping bombs. Jimmy Woo, I think is it's funny how much he sort of took center stage and Darcy got a little bit left on the wayside here. She had
but come on. I mean, that was the cat entrance was just money.
Fun moment, but interesting how she really felt like the center of the sort of outside of the Hex show for a bit, and then was just sort of like here for a car accident.
Wait. Let's not undercut it. It's a bucket list dream, I think, of every person to drive a clown car into a clown. I mean, come on, that was just like
Pete, I don't want to keep
unbelievable.
lumping on it. You did this the last time as well. It's not a clown car. It is a funnel cake truck. I can't believe you, of all people, is getting this wrong.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
We should tell you, Pete has driven a clown car for several years.
Looking for some clown to run over, and I still haven't found one.
I do wonder if maybe they didn't have Kat Dennings really for this last episode, because it seemed like that was an insert shot, and there was a credit in the end credits for double for Kat Dennings, double for Darcy. So I wonder if they were able to just grab her for one shot, and that was pretty much it. So that's why we got that. Which
it feels like
it was a little bit of a bummer.
But I did the Jimmy Woo stuff is fun. I like him at the end of the episode. It's like, ooh, she's running shit. The idea that he gets to be maybe a more power player in the sword area, or I guess I don't know. He's not technically in sword, right?
Well, I think that's an interesting thing to talk about in terms of the MCU. Is we've seen Shield dissolve, then we get Sword here, which we haven't seen most of the development of, but certainly with Hayward gone, it seems like obviously there's going to be some big changes there, or that's going to be dissolved. But it's almost like they're realigning the MCU to be the power player in terms of law and order as the FBI, like very straightforward, which is interesting.
Well, and let's not forget that Jimmy Woo is a character from the comics who ran the Agents of Atlas. Is that correct? So, like, I could see him like, wow, good job with the Hex situation in Westview. Maybe you can take over this random organization we just made up where there's a talking gorilla and some other people.
Yeah. First choice talking gorilla. Also, we're powered by a dragon. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah.
That was good. We also got Monica, of course, and the full reveal definitely has powers. She protects Billy and Tommy. Pretty fucked up that Hayward was trying to shoot a bunch of kids.
Hayward just finally gets out of the truck to shoot kids. That's his plan.
Jesus.
From a leadership position, it's really hard to imagine being like, all right, let me assess the situation. All right, shoot the kids first. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, I was like, man, that's like that Men in Black training where they took one shot at the poor kid the whole time. That was crazy.
Particularly because all Billy and Tommy did was they're like, all right, we're going to take care of the army, steal their hats. Yeah.
Oh, man, military hates it when you steal their hats, though. I mean,
that's where all their power is. They just shut down.
It's true. It was I will say, it's a very Olsen twin type movie choice at the end there, too. Maybe that was a subtle nod to Elizabeth Olsen's family.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get Wanda. Let's go over to Wanda and the big witch battle with Agatha. What was your take on that? How do you think all of that panned out?
I thought it was fun. It was cool how we had like a witch off and then a vision off. And it was, it was tough because like they did a great job of being like, oh man, I don't know if Wanda's going to be able to win this because she doesn't know she's a witch or is kind of like denying it. And then like a fun kind of turn of like, oh, I listened to your first lesson and I'm now using that against you. That was really badass.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it was sort of at a standstill for a while where I was like, oh, she's sucking her powers, and it really feels like there's no way for her to get around this. And
Yeah,
I liked the twist of the runes in the hex. I thought that was a smart way to do it. And I guess I don't know. I wanted between those two battles and then the Vision battles, I wanted them to switch for just one little sequence.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen. Have the classic like we're equally powered. Let's switch partners. But
it would have
it's
made a
all right.
lot of sense. Yeah, no, just for even a second, I thought that would have been cool just to break up the action of it a little bit because it was just such a clean transfer of who's winning from Agatha was like winning the entire time. And it was like, flip. Nope. I won later. And I wanted a little bit more nuance to that, I think. And Catherine Hahn didn't have a ton of chance to just not be spouting supervillain lines from hovering in the air. So I would have liked a little bit more stuff for her. She's such a great character, such a great actor, such a great villain for this series. I like where we left her though, in a great way.
Oh yeah, that was really crazy the way it was kind of like, touch the side of her head and now she's just like this little nosy neighbor, and it was fun to kind of see her back in that, and it just made it seem more empty and hollow than it was before, and so added a nice kind of flavor to that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think we talked about this a little bit the last episode. There was just too much witch makeup on Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
Like they poofed up her face and gave her these enormous brows. She's great, but it felt like she was sort of trapped in this whole thing.
Also,
Um,
I have a question. Like, so the whole town is free except for her. And so like
Yeah.
she's playing a 1950s nosy neighbor. Like, isn't the town gonna be like, yo, what's with this lady?
That's really funny. I didn't think of that. Like, hey, Agnes, cool it. All right,
Yeah,
go
like,
home.
It's not 1950. What are you doing out here baking?
Okie dokie, artichokey.
Go home. We're trying to do our taxes.
That was great. I also like the fact that they didn't back down from the damage that she had done to Westview. I was sort of surprised she didn't turn herself in at the end. Wanda, but the fact that everybody was looking at her, the fact that they're like, "Please, we've been living your nightmares.
man.
Let us
Yeah.
die."
That was, oh man,
I like the
living
fact
your
that they didn't back down from making it very dark at the end there, which I think is
Sure
a
didn't.
tribute to the production. It would be very easy to be like, "Oh, Wanda, save us. It wasn't your fault. It was Agatha's all along." But no, it was actually Wanda all along. She was the one that was doing this. She was wrecking them and it did a terrible job. So
Yeah,
she didn't completely fix it.
I was hoping for after the post, like we get a little Wanda song that was like, actually, it was me all along, like how come she didn't get a fun song?
The Wanda
Pete,
rap.
Yeah.
Pete, write and record it, release it. You have a couple hours before the internet.
Don't be a white guy.
Maximoff
beatboxing.
is
Stop it.
going off.
Stop.
I appreciate it, Alex.
Thank you.
Rhyming off with off this early in the morning is confident.
Well, I was going to rhyme witch with something, but it felt inappropriate.
Speaking of inappropriate, let's talk about Ralph Bohner.
Just to be clear, Bohner.
It's
Pete.
Bonner. It's Bonner is how you pronounce
Bonner.
it.
It's Ralph
Yeah.
Bonner. It's not Ralph Bohner. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was okay with that. It sounds like you guys were a little disappointed that it wasn't Quicksilver, it wasn't Pietro, actually, or anything. It was just an actor.
I'm fine.
Just an actor.
I'm fine with that choice. Any actor, especially a classically trained actor, is a star. In my mind. But I do think it was weird that there wasn't one little extra turn there. So
Did she
daughter
have an idea?
wants her bedroom back.
Yeah. Does your daughter have an idea about the extra turn? Is that why she jumped in?
Yeah, she was like, maybe he's Wong. I don't know what she's talking about.
Oh, wow.
Huh, interesting. I will say it's interesting. We could probably talk. There's a lot more to talk about in the episode, but since we're kind of touching on this now, there was a lot of speculation as well about how this tees up the next couple of Marvel movies. And they said, this is really going to open up the multiverse. It's going to tie into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's going to tie into Spider-Man No Way Home. It doesn't specifically, right?
No,
Yeah.
zero. Which again, like, that's fine. It's just there was, rather than close, they had these open threads and they didn't close them in a way. they just sort of let them hang. And I guess if you're not going to use them for all these wild speculation ideas, which is totally fine, at least close them up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
Olsen was on Jimmy Fallon, and she said, this puts me exactly where I need to be for the Sorcerer Supreme movie that she's shooting now. So I was hoping for a little cameo or a little something, but I guess Sorcerer Supreme finds her in a little cabin in the woods.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's the one that to talk about the two post-credit sequence. One is setting up Captain Marvel 2. The other one is setting up Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But like a lot of this stuff, when they do the end credits, and I feel like people have probably forgotten because it's been so long, it's not specifically like, here's the first scene most of the time. It's something that tees up the idea. So talking about the second one first, we got Wanda. She's making tea. She's in a cabin. You think she's dealing with her grief. She's in a sweatsuit. She's in quarantine, just like the rest
I
of
think
us.
it's like casual active wear is what she's wearing. Like, I don't know why you're
Wow.
All right, man.
Interesting stand to take, Pete.
Yeah.
Athleisure wear? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. But at the same time, she is also in her full Scarlet Witch outfit. She is floating in some magic.
Reading the
She's
Darkhold.
reading the Darkhold when she hears Billy and Tommy calling out from somewhere. And Billy says, "Mom, help, Mom, please." And Tommy says, "Help, Mom, please." So we know, even though seemingly they disappeared in Westview, they're out there somewhere. So I guess it's an
Do we
question
know
of-
that, or is she just like hearing their cries because she's grieving?
This is the open question, right? Like, I think the thing that kicks her in is she's exploring her powers. She's been told in this episode she is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. She thinks her kids are out there somewhere. Are they in the multiverse? Do they still exist in the MCU? Is it somebody tricking them? Clearly, she is going to seek out Doctor Strange to find them, and that's going to be at least the part of the plot of that movie. So I think that was a very direct line there.
And it's interesting. She is in that post credit. She's in the pose in the Darkhold that Agatha referenced as a problem, a very problematic pose. So we speculated a little bit that maybe Wanda was some sort of villain in this Doctor Strange movie, or at least a agent of chaos. And it sounds like she'll be the catalyst to push Doctor Strange into the multiverse of madness on a quest for Billy and Tommy. Though is the Doctor Strange movie can't be about finding Wanda's kids, right?
Yeah, because Wanda killed her kids. So where is she looking for her kids for?
No, I don't think that's what happened. But
she controls the kind of field around the thing, and she was setting everything back to the way it was.
Just to touch on this a little bit, she took the field. We presume they disappear. I expected there to be a little thing at the end where she's standing in the ruins of the house and they pop up and like, "What's up, Mom?"
Yeah.
But obviously they didn't. So yeah, I mean, to Pete's point, yes, they disappeared. So we don't know. We don't know how she hears those voices. Do their spirits exist? Are they out of the multiverse? We're not sure at this point.
She killed them.
Well, I think if I were to speculate, which we can do, we have the power to do that in our own little personal
and
hex.
So far we've been spot on with every bit of speculation.
Spot on. I think either Wiccan himself was like, "Oh, I see what's happening here," and just zooped him out of there.
Yeah, because we didn't see them. They died off screen.
They didn't die for sure.
No.
They or like there is something to this chaos magic that we'll get to learn more about, where because they were fully realized people, they had souls that the chaos magic couldn't destroy them. They were just moved to a place of pure magic or something like that.
Wow, you're really working hard to try to save the fact that she killed their kids, man.
Well, hold on. We heard their voices at the end, so there's something going on there, Pete. Plus, it was very pointed that we didn't see them disappear the same way we saw Vision disappear. I think, first of all, that was to put emotionally it back on Wanda and Vision. Also, real rough to recover a show after watching kids die, I think. But I do want to say, just like while we're jumping around here, I don't know if you feel this way, Justin. There is a certain sense, like I thought it hit on a very specific parental thing of like when you say goodnight to your kids, you're like,
yeah. You might never see them again. Yeah, that's it.
Honestly, like there's sometimes when that goes through your head and it's terrifying. So
that was like, it was like, "Oh, good night, kids." And then the way they were hanging out, I was like, wait a second, this is bigger than a good night, kids. And then I was like, oh God, she's gonna murder her kids, isn't she?
Stop saying that.
What did she do then? You tell me. The whole thing slowly came and wiped everybody out and reset everything. Those kids didn't exist until the spell. She wipes the spell. Kids are gone, dude.
Monica Rambeau kept her powers. The Vision, who was changed by the Vision in the Hex, flies off, is still changed. Like the Hex world influenced the outside world. I don't think you have to worry about it. But to your point, Alex,
we just watched 9 episodes of somebody bringing kids to life and then murdering them in front of us.
When you go to bed, or when your kids go to bed, that's why you always check on them. And you whisper in their little ears, hey, I'm recording a podcast tomorrow morning. Please sleep in for a change. Would you?
The timing on the kid attacking you as you said that was magical.
Yeah,
real quick, while we're talking about post-credits things, there's also the tee-up of Captain Marvel 2. Pete preferred to focus on the fact that it was in a movie theater, but I do think it's important or nice to talk about, I guess, that Monica seems to be heading into Captain Marvel 2. That seems like maybe it's going to be headed more to space because we have the reveal of a Skrull, a friend of her mother's, who I assume is Talis.
Gotta be
the Skrull.
Just real quick, if you're in a movie theater and somebody points up, what do you think they're talking about? You know what I mean?
The theater right above it.
Right, exactly. I would like a little bit like, actually, there's a giant sword floating above the earth. That's what I'm pointing at. Like, be clear. Like, if I got called to a movie theater and then someone was just like pointing up, I'd be like,
would you have preferred if Monica? Would you have preferred if Monica was like, the ceiling?
Yeah, exactly. Are we talking about the ceiling, bro? Is there something on top of this building? Like,
no, she was like, let's go sneak into Black Widow. It's right upstairs.
All right. As Justin's kids are starting to get a little persnickety, why don't we start to wrap this up here? Talk about some other Easter eggs and little things in the episode. I could read through a couple I noticed, but I love to hear from you guys, of course, as well. First of all, in the witch battle right at the beginning, Agatha gets knocked into the house. We see Wanda looks underneath. You see just the shoes, just like Wizard of Oz.
Come on,
just classic witch ref.
They've had Oz stuff throughout the entire series, so it was a fun little point there.
Yeah, and if you look in the rubble, there's like a little dog tag that says Toto.
Yeah, you're really into like
the dog got murdered by that car. You know?
What at the end of Wizard of Oz, Toto is going strong, dude.
Oh, right, my bad.
But Dorothy, again, was just dealing with her grief. Every time I watch Wizard of Oz, I'm like, grief gang, let's see this.
We talked very briefly about the Darkhold. We had speculated about whether this was or was not. They revealed that it is, in fact, the Darkhold. This is probably going to be a huge issue, I assume, online today because the Darkhold played throughout Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It also played into Runaways a little bit. This looks entirely different. I think you could excuse it one of two ways. Either A, yes, they are completely erasing everything that happened in Marvel TV before this, or it's just another copy of the Darkhold either way.
Oh yeah, that's what you're going with. Like, yeah, there's
I'm going with one, but I think if people want to feel better about it, they could go.
Oh, that's nice. If you want to delude yourself with your own personal hex about the Marvel continuity, yeah, go that way. I like the idea that you're like, yeah, well, there's actually a pretty large print run on the Darkhold. Everybody got a copy.
Hey, can I get a copy of that, Matt?
Yeah. Like the college bookstore where you're like, yeah, I just need to buy a couple copies of the Darkhold.
The shittiest thing, I remember standing outside Barnes & Noble in a line before midnight waiting to get my copy of the Darkhold, and some asshole walked around and was like, she's the Scarlet Witch, man. I was like, God, spoilers. Come on.
Huge spoilers. I mean, to be fair, that's right at the beginning of the Darkhold. There's
what sucked was I was in line and then the person in front of me got 2 and I didn't get one. And I was like, oh, that should be illegal.
Man. Did you get your sign though by the fucking devil?
The Darkhold, like, I know we were like, really, we referenced like it's probably the Darkhold. I mean, there is only really one super magic book in the Marvel universe, so it's not like we were.
You want credit for recognizing the one?
No, I'm saying we shouldn't take credit.
Yeah, no, it's about on par with somebody being like, "Hey, I'm gonna go grab this nullifier." We're like, "Is it the ultimate nullifier?"
No, but it's just sort of the regular casual nullifier. Oh, okay, cool. But I mean, the Darkhold, just leaving all the TV continuity aside from this show that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that I guess some people watched, there's a that's a dig on you, Alex. There
I
is
watched most of it.
There is cool. You and literally everyone else. There is a lot of comic book stuff that the Darkhold sort of opens up, like a whole, even beyond sort of the magic side, into this sort of more horror side. There was a series called the Darkhold Redeemers, which is a team of magical heroes track down and resolve like horror monsters and stuff like that. So that's cool. It opens the door for characters like Blade and whatnot to maybe re-enter the Marvel universe.
Come out.
Obviously, we know there's a Blade movie that was announced very early on in the process. We have no idea what's happening there, but it's a nice doorway to have there.
I think that's a really good point about the horror thing in particular, since Sam Raimi is directing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. There was a whole sticky thing behind the scenes where Scott Derrickson, who directed the first movie, was like, yeah, we're going to make this a fucking hard R horror movie. And Marvel was like, maybe not. They brought in Sam Raimi. I think we're still going to see whatever it means for horror in the MCU in that movie, which is cool. Go ahead, Pete.
I want to say some stuff I want to quickly talk about. Like, I really love the Jimmy Woo coming into power, especially like the part where he got that douchey military guy to start monologuing. Like, that was just like, for me, like a real hero move to get the bad guy to like spill the beans on his plan and stuff while he's doing the flourish. I really appreciated. And I wanted to kind of talk about the last moment there that we had with Vision and Wanda, where it was like Vision cried, which was an unbelievable moment, and then Wanda cried, and then I fucking cried, because it was really a very touching moment that, like, I don't know if we're gonna see Vision again or what's gonna happen after this, you know. Like, it was pretty crazy, cool moment that we got to kind of witness that.
It was crazy to see a robot cry, and by that I'm talking, of course, about you, Pete. Oh, so that is truly amazing.
So I'm going to admit something now that is a bad thing to admit. I've definitely told you guys before, but I haven't said it on this podcast. I have never seen Blade Runner, but on the marquee.
How about the second one?
Yeah, I watched Blade Runner 2049. But
that's the one that people say to go see.
Yeah,
that's the real...
but I know enough about references for Blade Runner. On the marquee, and they reviewed this last episode, the movie that's actually being shown there is called Tannhauser Gate, puts the fun in dysfunction with a 1 for the I. And there's that's from the whole Tears in the Rain monologue that Rutger Hauer gives in Blade Runner. So I think that was a neat little Easter egg tee up for Vision crying in the last episode.
And I think Tannhauser Gate is like a warp station, or it's like a doorway to other wilder places. So I think that's definitely the fact that, because we see it once when when they're sort of fighting and they sort of fight past the theater, right? Then I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna that's got to be something. And then later, like when they're just like, oh, go meet in the theater, and then it's like a long lingering shot on, I was like, okay, that's a little, it's like
Paul
an Easter
Bettany
egg
kind of comes into frame as like,
hey, try that out. Yeah.
You notice that?
Go to movie theaters, guys.
It's like when
anybody was saying,
you're a conspiracy theorist, Pete. It's like if the Easter Bunny hid all of your Easter eggs on Easter morning inside an egg carton in your fridge.
A couple of other Easter eggs, speaking of which, and thank you for the transition, Justin. So this is something that a couple of people picked up on a couple of episodes back when Vision left the Hex, but I feel like it was even more prominent now when Vision and Billy and Tommy are being ripped apart when Wanda's taking down the Hex. It kind of looks like pixels, but it also kind of looks like puzzle pieces. There's a classic cover from House of M of Scarlet Witch breaking apart into these puzzle pieces, into these bits. So I think that was a visual callback to that. Again,
I thought it was kind of like a callback to the Thanos snap where people turn it into dust.
It definitely felt like that.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
Which sucked.
Yeah.
Another one, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but when Wanda does the disappearing thing behind Agatha right at the beginning of their witch battle, it felt very I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched to me, just in terms of the movement, which I thought was cute. She also you watched Age of Ultron, Justin, so you know about this. But we got to call back to the Wanda doing the nightmare thing to Tony Stark in Age of Ultron, which we haven't seen her do since, where she does that to Agatha and sucks her back to Salem 1602, I think it was, or something like that.
Probably
Sure.
not, but that's a good guess. 1602 is a big date in Marvel Comics, but
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
we have a hard time differentiating between the two histories.
Oh wow, Pete, just pulling it out right there, always on your person. That's amazing.
You gotta be ready for when things like this happen.
Well,
did I create that moment by having the comic ready, or did you create that moment and then I was ready for it? Like,
great question.
Shit.
Pete either took a philosophy 101 class or this just now, or this show has ruined him.
A couple of other quick things that I wanted to call out. We got the energy head sock, which I thought was fun. Call back to the crown from the last episode, and then it becomes
head sock. Is that
what head sock
like
are you talking about?
I don't know. It's not exactly like Gambit's head sock where he's wearing this thing on his head that reveals his face, but I've always felt it's the same thing with Scarlet Witch, where it's like, I don't know. There's too much stuff going on in the show
are you talking about?
Wear a hat or wear a mask. Choose one of the two. That's all I'm saying.
It's like
Who are you talking about? What part of the show was
when the Scarlet Witch got her little Batman ears?
Oh, okay. All right.
But before it was a costume, when it was just energy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You call that a head sock?
Yeah, I call it a head sock.
I will say head sock is maybe the worst way of saying it, because that implies something very different. A head sock is like a little stocking on that you have over your head.
Yeah. Couple of just to keep running through my notes here. I think the Westview home is where you make it. We've seen that sign before, but it's just driving that home one last time. Also, just the last thing that I'll mention really got me.
Don't say that, because it won't be the last thing that you mention.
The last thing I'll mention from my list of things that I wrote down in my notes,
the
line, "Boys, thanks for choosing me to be your mom."
That was weird to me.
And I think that's to show
that's not how kids work. Kids don't sit there and pick who their mom is. Like, you make the
as
kid,
a parent,
and then that's how you.
I understand what you're saying, Pete. I know you're making sort of a joke. Speaking as a parent, that line got me. That was the line that I cried to.
Yeah, it was a good line. My kid just walked in and said, "Hey, thanks for choosing us, but we're out."
Yeah, smart kid.
But I think that is also a good nod to show that they are fully realized beings. They're not just another hex creation. They have souls. Thanks for choosing me means that they came from
but
somewhere.
it was a crazy line to say to somebody after you then wipe them out of existence. Hey, thanks for choosing me. You choose wrong because your mother's about to kill you.
Oh my God.
Stop
Pete,
saying
come
that.
on. Any other notes before we wrap up here, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the whole kind of like back and forth, like you don't have power, like it was a very cool reveal that like when she was like hitting Harkness, that she was creating that thing. And I'm so glad that made sense, because it was definitely frustrating during the fight. And I really like the exploration of as she's kind of like holding Vision, being like that Mind Stone was the Mind Stone that lived in me in my memories. And I thought that was an interesting kind of explanation for that. That kind of made sense. So I thought that those were some kind of like touching moments. Yeah.
Justin, any final notes from you?
I mean, it's great you talking about it with you guys. It's like, there was so much happened in this final episode, and it is crazy if we thinking about it all the way back to the first couple episodes, which were like they started so far away from this sort of knockdown, drag out Marvel movie style fight. And just giving credit to Marvel, if people are critical of this episode for not having enough whatever, like they really took a swing with this show and started really far away from their comfort zone. And so I really appreciate being able to go on that journey and having characters that felt a little bit different, and the show have a real theme rooted in something. Of course, I'm talking about everyone's favorite character, Grief.
Yes. Can't wait to see how Grief plays out in the MCU. Now, normally we'd end these episodes with Vision board for the next episode, but obviously this is the actual series finale. Kevin Feige, just as a note, did say never say never, or at least he's learned to never say never when it comes to a sequel, but clearly this episode is called the series finale, so they are planning it as a series finale from WandaVision until now. But this isn't the series finale of Marvel Vision. We're going to keep going.
What?
Yeah, we are. Surprise, guys. In 2 weeks, we're going to pick it up with, I keep wanting to say Captain America and the Winter Soldier, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, what are you, racist, dude? Come on.
Jeez, no.
Pete's ready to be done with these mornings.
That's the opposite of racist because I'm calling Falcon Captain America right now.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were like, I can't see the... All right, anyways.
Nope.
Keep finishing your sentence.
Anyway, in 2 weeks, we're going to be recapping that show and putting those up super early as well, which I know is
come on. Seriously, please comment if like getting this up earlier makes a difference because it's fucking killing us.
I feel great. Yeah,
I feel more alive than ever.
I say earlier. I got to get up before my kids wake up, so we need to do this at
3 a.m. There you go.
Exactly.
Before we've even watched it.
You guys can do a fun dad show, all right?
Well,
dad show.
Speaking of which, we are going to do one more episode before Falcon and the Winter Soldier premieres. So here's what we love for you. We're going to do a preview for Falcon and Winter Soldier, but we'd also love your thoughts on WandaVision, your theories, what you thought about the show, anything.
How sad you are.
How sad you are. Send us your best griefs.
Yeah, your griefs.
You can send us a couple of places, comicbookclublive@gmail.com, or hit us up on Twitter at MarvelVisionPod. We'll try to read a couple of those things, those letters or tweets, in the next episode of the show before we get into Falcon and Winter Soldier proper. And that is it, folks. If you'd like to support us, patreon.com/comicbookclub. Also do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. at Crowdcast and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to talk about grief or WandaVision or whatever you want to discuss. Happy to discuss it live. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe and listen to the show. Specifically on iTunes, we would love you to rate and comment on the show. That helps us out quite a bit, so we would appreciate it if you do. As mentioned, Marvel Vision Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and more. Comic Book Club on YouTube. Until next time, Marvel you later.
Off to start a new family. Bye.